and gentlemen, welcome to the most thought-provoking podcast in this world or any other. It's What on Earth with your host, Nightwolf.
Welcome, Truth Seekers, to episode number 8 of What on Earth. This is your host, Nightwolf. And today's episode, we're going to touch base on AAWSAP. AAWSAP stands for Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program. And AAWSAP was in cahoots with AATIP, which is these two departments were headed by were headed in Pentagon, and they were headed by the Department of Intelligence Agency, the DIA. So recently, some documents were released, unclassified, for journalists, independent journalists, or anybody that's researching the UFO, UAP phenomena. So these documents were recently released, and I want to get into a little bit of a deep dive here about AAWSAP. I think that's how it's called, AAWSAP, so it's pronounced AAWSAP. So we're going to do a little deep dive here, some truth of what's going on. Like I said, this is all about power and control. Basically, it's about power and control. That's what it boils down for me. Instead of just letting us U.S. citizens know what's really going on. So, I mean, the secret has been hidden for years. But it's starting to come out, because the truth will always come out. And a famous quote that Morgan Freeman said, "Stupid is knowing the truth, seeing the truth, but still believing the lies." So we see the truth, we know the truth, but we don't want to believe it's true. We just want to believe that the lies still exist. So, not me. I know the truth, I see the truth, I believe the truth. Quote unquote. So let's get into this AAWSAP information here that I've recently found. 1,600 pages were released, okay? So just to give you an idea of how many unclassified pages were released. And we can go back into, let's read here the article that I found that was written by Anna Merlin. And she is with Motherboard Tech by Vice, okay? And these documents were released to Motherboard recently. So this is a reliable source. The article is actually dated April 19th, 2022, so fairly recent. And I just recently found this, so I wanted to get into details with you guys about it. Since its existence was revealed by the New York Times in 2017, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or aka AATIP, which was funded by the Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA, has been the subject of fervent curiosity from UFO disclosure advocates, government transparency activists, and journalists alike. So, we're going to get into here. They released a new drench of documents, right? Released by the DIA to Motherboard. So, based on FOIA requests that were filed 4 years ago. That's how long it's taken for them to release this information to the public. Okay, now it says the exotic and occasionally downright weird research priorities of the Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Application Program, aka AAWSAP. Notice how it says the exotic. That's another way of saying intelligence technology from another civilization. That's basically what it boils down to. So, and at times overlapping program whose existence has been known about for several years. Some of these documents were also released several weeks ago to John Greenwald at Black Vault. Others have been circulating on Reddit for the past several weeks, indicating that the DIA has recently released a backlog of very old FOIA requests. No kidding, 4 years ago. The Sun also published some details about some of the documents, which it also obtained via FOIA earlier this month. AATIP and AAWSAP appear to have been in practice almost interchangeable. A DIA spokesperson previously told Greenwald. AATIP was the name of the overall program, AAWSAP was the name of the contract that DIA awarded for the production of technical reports under ATIP. So the nearly 1,600 pages of documents released to Motherboard are a mix of scientific research, contracts, presentations, briefings, and memos related to the program. There are also many documents written for or by former Senator Harry Reid, which, if you guys do your homework, Senator Harry Reid wanted to make sure that there was a special access program to these two departments. In other words, keep it secret of the secret. So, secrets behind the secret. So here we go. Let me see here. Let me continue here. In many cases, documents prepared for the DIA about the applications of certain technologies were prepared by a person or entity whose name is redacted. So obviously they unclassified, but there's some information that was not unclassified. So we don't know who the source or the people that are involved in this are, because it was redacted. Motherboard is publishing the full scope of what we received for transparency and to aid researchers and other journalists. Okay, so the documents make clear that AAWSAP was focused on studying the defense and military capabilities of a variety of exotic, speculative technologies. Okay, exotic, speculative technologies. Now, that phrase for me, in other words, the technology from an advanced civilization that is not from this planet. That's the way I look at that. That's my impression of that article, of what the lady wrote here. Why would you call it exotic? Of all the things to say, they had to use the word exotic, speculative, but to keep you guessing, to keep you from knowing what the truth is. But at the end, the bottom line is, this is technology from an advanced civilization from another galaxy in the universe. I don't know why it's so hard for them to just say that, to just let it out already. Why? Because it's all about power and control. So it goes into including. Okay, this is what the unclassified documents include: invisibility cloaking, traversable wormholes, stargates, negative energy, anti-gravity, high-frequency gravitational wave communications, and never carried out proposal to tunnel a hole through the moon using nuclear explosions. Okay, one of the documents says gravity is the bane of aerospace transportation. Okay, so they're going to examine a few of these proposals in detail, and they'll shed some more light as to the documents that were recently released. Okay, and then it says none of these technologies ever seem to have gotten remotely close to being a reality as far as we know. Oh man, I love how they spin things around. They spin it for your brain to take it in other ways. As far as we know, come on, who are you kidding? You know that they've been reversing alien technology or advanced civilization technology, like I like to say it, for a long time. Okay, so I went into some of these documents, and I'm gonna point out for you guys some of the ones that I found that were very interesting. And also, we're on our next live show, we're gonna have a special guest. I'll just make a real quick brief. He's going to be on board for a live show, our next live show, with Brass Casings is also going to come on board. And our special guest has been in the Air Force, and that's about the most I can say. So we're going to bring him on board to talk about one of these documents, since he has the experience, the expertise of the terminology and everything that's in one of those reports. So we're going to bring him on board, and we're going to let him onto the show so he can give us some insight as to what most of these documents that were unclassified mean. So there's 4 that I highlighted that I found interesting. Here's one. Okay, it's detection and high-resolution tracking of vehicles at hypersonic velocities. So apparently they're working on trying to get a detection system so they can track these UAPs, because as you've seen from the have you seen in the released footage, and also from the interviews from the Air Force pilots, that these things move at incomprehensible speeds, make sharp turns that are impossible at the speed that they're traveling. So, yeah, detection and high resolution tracking of vehicles at hypersonic velocities. All of this tells me and confirms to me that those vehicles do exist and they have existed. So they're trying to formulate a system that could detect them before they enter our airspace, okay, or our atmosphere. So that's one. Another one that I found here is very interesting. This one is titled Traversable Wormholes, Stargates, and Negative Energy. So there you go. Traversable Wormholes and Stargates. Interesting. Makes you wonder about the movie Stargate, huh? Where they got that idea from. So let's see, what's the other one here? I got total 4. I gave you guys 2. Let me get to the other one here. Here's another one: warp drive, dark energy, and the manipulation of extra dimensions. Manipulation of extra dimensions. So you're telling me that there's other dimensions out there? Wow, that's new news to me. No, I'm just kidding. That's let me tell you, that's something that I've always theorized, that there are other dimensions, and that's how they travel back and forth through the dimensions, through the wormholes, through the stargates. That's the intelligence that they have, how advanced they are. And then the last one, which I found was pretty interesting, and this is the topic that I think our special guest from the Air Force that's going to come on says: advanced nuclear propulsion for manned deep space missions. Okay, let me read that to you again. Advanced nuclear propulsion for manned deep space missions. Now, what that tells me is, I believe, at least I believe, that we already have a fleet in space for deep space manned missions. I believe we do already. Hence the reason why Space Force was created. Now, the title of that should tell you exactly what their whole agenda is, what the whole background to the reason behind why it was created. Space Force. The only time you need a force is either to defend or to attack. It's either or. What is the purpose of a force? It's either to defend or to attack. That's just the bottom line. There's no gray area. It's just simply black and white. It's either you're going to defend something, you're going to defend your people, you're going to defend your planet, or you're planning to attack or issue an attack on another force. So that's what Space Force, at least for me. I believe that we already have a fleet in space, and we've been traveling in space already on these deep space missions. I mean, think about that. I think it's real. I think it's reality already, and they're giving us the little breadcrumbs, so we can at least have a little bit of a taste. But when you do your research and you deep dive, you start finding out a lot more than breadcrumbs. You start getting the whole loaf of bread, and that's what you start realizing. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys today about AAWSAP and its relations to ATIP, and how that senator, if you guys do your homework, Senator Harry Reid, okay, from the government, our U.S. government, wanted to keep the secret on top of the secret. So, and he called it a special access program, a SAC, or SAP, I'm sorry, special access program, where only certified individuals would have access to the information. So, and unfortunately, it didn't go his way. So that's why these things are starting to shed the light to us of what's really going on behind the closed doors or the curtains that we don't see, because they got us distracted with many other things going on. All right, so thank you for tuning in. Appreciate the support. If you haven't subscribed, please do already. Give me a thumbs up if you like the information you're listening to. And that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is your host, Night Wolf. Once again, What on Earth? God bless and stay safe.